All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Making the Complex Simple podcast. We are here to go along the journey of entrepreneurship, where I'm going to talk to you about the lessons that I'm learning, the mistakes I've made, so that way you don't have to go through them yourself. We're going to jump right in and start with talking about social media today. So it's an interesting story. I first started on social media way back in high school, and I didn't really think anything of it, right? We just kind of used it to interact with friends. There was MySpace, then Facebook, and then eventually Instagram, and then you have Vine, and you had all these other platforms that come out, Snapchat, TikTok. And as these progressed, I didn't really use them too much. And it wasn't until I actually got back into entrepreneurship and understanding how you could leverage social media for business that I started to put more time, effort, and energy into social media. And surprise, surprise, that's where I spend most of my time now. So it's funny how I went from zero to like now trying to produce a lot of content, a lot of videos for sure, ads, and trying to just generate more awareness right now for my company. If you remember a few episodes ago, I talked about 2025, what I was going to start doing was focusing more on the top of the funnel. And in marketing, that just means making really good content that people would watch, enjoy. In this case, for me, it'd be educational. That will teach them more about what my industry I work in does, and hopefully help build in their mind the expertise, how we look at things through our lens, so they can see our values and share our perspectives, maybe, and hopefully build a relationship that they would in the future maybe want to work with us, right? If they have a need in that department or that industry, they're like, I watch their videos all the time. I'm gonna go work with them because I know they know what they're doing. Originally, my first thought was, well, let me just to sum up the other episode was, originally, let me just go and target people at the bottom of a marketing funnel, which are people who know they have a problem, they're looking for solutions, and Meta knows that, and they'll target those people with the ads. Almost my first 3 months of advertising was strictly on the bottom of the funnel. And I would get people on the phone. I would talk to business owners from different states, and there just wasn't really enough of a relationship built yet. There was a lot that would have had to happen on these calls for me to have then moved forward with them as far as in a business contractual type relationship. So I wanted to switch that, and I wanted to start with the top of the funnel, build a lot of content that people can consume for free. So a lot of my knowledge that I've learned going through school, I'm working in businesses, I wanted to be able to package that up, give it to them in either bite-sized pieces, depending on the platform, or longer form, and allow them to get a better understanding without actually having to like pay for anything. Originally, I was like, when I started my social media and influence with business, I was like, well, let me go on LinkedIn because that's where the most people are going to be, right? Because that's where all the business owners are. And you'll see with like all these platforms, if you were early to the game with social media, then there was a lot that you could capitalize on. But the more mature these markets are, the more that people have been in there, add on top of that technology and automation, the less effective it becomes. So I would imagine, I wasn't there for it, but when LinkedIn first came out with ads and messaging, it was probably more effective than it is now. I'm not saying it's not effective, but with each of these platforms, when you first start on there and you're the first the first wave of doing certain things, like chatting with people online and getting them to convert to your whatever it is that you're selling, I can imagine that there's a big opportunity there. And then the more people that do it, the more it gets crowded in that space. And I think that just happens in business in general, and you have to learn something new. I was originally going to do LinkedIn, and I was going to make a whole bunch of content on there. If you look on my LinkedIn, I started posting content on there first because I was like, that's where all the business owners are. That's who I want to work with. I'm a B2B, which just means business to business. So I'm gonna go on there. And then I said, it's going to take years to grow an organic audience, like years of doing it. I don't have that time. So I want to run ads. And just through my own internal connections, I ran across a team that ran ads, but they only ran Google ads or Meta ads. So I was like, okay, great. Well, they don't do LinkedIn. So I was like, between Google and LinkedIn, between Google and Meta, I was like, well, I don't have a website. So that's going to be kind of hard. And even if I built a landing page, there's no website for them to go see more content. So I don't have that type of web presence there, but I could definitely build out a social media profile, and that won't take as long. It'll be quicker to set up, and then I can run my ads from there. I decided to go with Meta because of just the expertise that I had there. And Meta is a more mature platform and more people run ads on there. So it's easier to like learn. There's more videos, there's more education out there on Meta in general. So I started running Meta ads. And then again, I ran into this problem. So then I was like, okay, well, let me switch to the top of the funnel metric going into 2025. So that's fast forwarding to today's time frame. And what I noticed was I want to make long form content because I am a like educator by nature, because I was in the military and I was actually an instructor before I left. And so whenever I make content, I naturally want to try to educate people. I don't know if that's just in my blood. And I realize that's really hard to do in like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Even most platforms now will allow 90 seconds to explain like a full concept where people can digest it and understand it. Whereas on YouTube, for example, you can do longer videos and that's normal. Like people go there. It's kind of like Google. Well, Google owns it, where people go there a lot of times to like search for answers for things like, how do I make bread? How do I start my garden? How do I run Meta ads, right? So there's a lot of people that go there to get their questions answered. And that's better than social media where you're disrupting them mid-scroll with whatever your content is. So one of the things is I felt like that's going to be a better pivot for me to do YouTube, to make these longer form videos, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And then what I could do, this was my thought, was break that YouTube video up into small pieces and then post that on Facebook, post that on Instagram, and then whatever other platforms can host these short reels. Right now, TikTok may be banned, but posting it on TikTok too. So essentially what I wanted to do was make one piece of content and then be able to fragment that piece of content into multiple pieces that can then grow my audiences on multiple platforms at the same time. So it's like I'm getting double dips and triple dips off of one piece of effort that I'm doing. And YouTube videos, now that I'm understanding it more, I just posted my third one to my business channel. They take a lot of work. Like, I don't know who does long form content for like their job as far as like editing, but hats off to those people, because it takes a lot of time to edit a video, to color correct it, to add in the visuals, to fix the sound, to add in B-roll over the top. Like there's so much stuff that goes into it that I didn't really realize, as opposed to a short, you're looking at like 30 seconds, 60-second clips. So completely different ball game, a lot longer, but you get a higher quality product at the end. Typically, like a YouTube video, if you work it well, you're gonna have a really, really high quality video. And then from there, you can break it down into smaller videos that you can then post on these other platforms. You do give up like being platform specific, and we'll get into that, by taking the same content and posting it on all platforms. But you do get that extra reach. You get that extra leverage. So that way you're growing multiple platforms at the same time. So there's pros and cons to it. So overall, my strategy for 2025 is, one, to make more YouTube videos. And I'm just scratching the surface with YouTube, and I'm learning it's a whole thing between, the thumbnails, the editing, the pre-production, the post-production, lighting, sound, there's so much that goes into it, but it's exciting. It's fun. And I'm learning a lot really quickly. And fun side note, I was actually using Canva for my short form videos to like edit them. And once you get to like the 10-minute mark in video editing, Canva starts breaking. Like you break the whole software. It's not meant for long form video. So I had to switch what software I was using. So there's a learning curve in switching softwares, but I'm learning it and I'm getting better each video that I make. So the goal right now that I'm trying to hold myself to is get one video out per week. And then from that long video, I can break it up and make 5, 7, 10 pieces of short form content that I can then repurpose across 3, 4, 5 other platforms, depending on what the content type is. Now, I also wanted to learn, and I spent some time thinking about this, like, what does each platform specifically like do? Like what content works on each platform? So I just talked about YouTube. YouTube, I think, is really good for educational and entertainment, as far as like very well produced entertainment, and then just long form content in general. So I think it's a really good job of doing that. And then if I look at LinkedIn, right, it's very business focused. So if I were to post my stuff on there, it would do just fine, because I talk about business finance. So that wouldn't be any issue if I post content on there. Facebook was interesting. I've posted since like October of last year. I've been posting pretty consistently. And the things that do well on Facebook, and I'm still learning it, to be honest, is typically like really, really high level content. It doesn't get down into the weeds. People aren't really interested in learning like these minor details. They're really looking for like higher, easy to follow sequences and flows, and like key buzzwords too do really well. So if you have like a business key buzzword that you use, it for whatever reason does pretty well. Also on Facebook, I noticed long form written content typically does better, and Facebook does pretty well with groups. So there's a lot of activity in groups. The other thing is when people like or comment or whatever it is on a piece of content that you have, I'll go sometimes and I'll just check out the profile to see, okay, what type of person's interacting with this. And it's usually people who haven't updated their profile picture in like 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, but they're still using the app. They jump on for a few minutes, they like a few things, and then they jump off. So Facebook's really interesting. It's the most mature platforms out of all the ones that are most commonly used today. So it does have the most adoption, but there's not a lot of people that are like actively on there, I don't think, every single day engaging with things. They're more there to look, scroll, and then it's also for more of the older generation, right? So I think things that are like pictures or text, those will do better on Facebook, in my opinion. On Instagram, I think Instagram is probably the hardest platform to grow off on. Every time I go on Instagram, maybe it's just my feed, but it's a lot of high quality production with people who are very like well known. So like when I'm scrolling through, it's like Jordan Peterson and Steve Jobs and obviously business content, but it's these high level people. You don't see a lot of like organic content on Instagram. It's all like this very high production value, very high quality videos or graphics that people make. Those are the ones that do well. And then everything else is just nothing. So when I make content, between Instagram and Facebook, it usually reaches better on Facebook, my content, than it does on Instagram. But I've done like professionally shot, like in a podcast studio, and I've done ones where I'm more dressed up and then ones where I'm more casual just to see like what happens. And on Instagram, it's the ones that is more professional, where you pay for the studio times, where you're going to get better results. So that's what I've noticed from there. If you do high quality videos, then with the sound and with the background, with all that kind of stuff, you're going to do decent. You're going to get decent reach on an Instagram. So then the next one I was looking at was TikTok. I'm like, okay, what's TikTok all about? Again, the band's coming up really soon, but I wanted to figure out like what was going on there. What can a business do on there? Is it anything? Is it like Facebook and Instagram, where it's like, I would say out of all of them, Facebook's probably the hardest. Sorry. Out of all of them, Instagram is probably the hardest to grow organically. Like the bar for that to grow is so high. For Facebook, I'd say it's a little bit less than Instagram, but it's still really hard to grow. TikTok, I started to post a little bit of content on there just to test it out. I was like, let me throw a couple pieces up, see what happens. And let me tell you, I think I posted like 5 or 7 pieces of content on TikTok, and I grew more followers and I had more likes than posting on 3 months, almost 4 months on Facebook and Instagram from organic content, being able to reach people like just from the algorithm. The reach on TikTok is insane. If you have decent quality content, you're going to like be able to organically get to a lot of people really quick. Now, in a business sense, I'm not a content creator, right? I'm a business owner. So in a business owner sense, if I look at it through that lens though, how does that convert into sales? Like at the end of the day, I'm building these pieces of content, whether it be long form or short form. I've tried both. It has to convert into sales at some point. If not, then it's pointless to build an audience on that platform. Who cares at the end of the day if you get so many views or so many likes or whatever it is? That doesn't matter if it's not converting into getting people to sign up and to generate more traffic to like your website, to your web page, and they can find out more about you. So that's the thing I'm looking for right now. And I don't even know if TikTok will be open after, I'm recording this the day before it's supposed to like shut down on the 19th. So who knows if that'll still be up. But I think if I had to really think about these different platforms and how to use them to best grow the business, right? If you're a business owner and you're just starting out, this is how I would do it, or this is the way I'm doing it. You can go one of two ways. You can either go short to long or long to short. So the way I explained it to you in this podcast is from long to short, meaning you take a 15-minute YouTube video that you make, or a 20-minute YouTube video that you make, right? Long form video, and you chop it up into mini, and then you post it across all the platforms to include YouTube Shorts. And that's how you stay relevant on all platforms. That's how you show people that you're posting all the time. The consistency is there, and it's pretty simple. You make one video and you get 5, 10-ish pieces of content from it. So that sets you up for a week, week and a half sometimes. The other way you can do it is go from short to long. From short to long, that looks like you take tweets, if you're a writer, and you take those tweets and you write throughout your week, and some of them will hit. Those ones that you hit, you turn into a reel or to a short or whatever you want to call it, depending on the platform. The ones that do well there, then you turn it into a long form video and you go that way. So you either go from short to long or long to short, but the whole thing is you want to find things that resonate with people. So if you're going to do long to short and you're like, well, how do I know which topics will work? Well, go into your space and see what topics other people have made videos on that have done well, and or talk to your customers and see what questions they have and answer them with YouTube videos. That's what I usually do. All right, I just got off this call with Amanda and she had these 4 questions. Okay, which one do I think most business owners would have as a question, or which one have I heard multiple times before? That's the one I'm going to go with first, right? And then I can keep those other ones in case I run out of ideas, or as I continue to talk to more and more customers, there's more and more video ideas that come up, right? Because it could be specific to industry or whatever it is that you're doing topic wise. So that's the way I think about it. And my strategy for 2025, again, is focus 70-ish% of my time, effort, and energy on the top of the funnel, making YouTube videos, or maybe I'll also probably throw in some shorts too to break it up, because a little side quest here, but the YouTube videos that I'm making are educational. That's only a piece of the puzzle of your content genre that you should be posting on your social media pages. Educational is only one of it, right? You also need to make them aware that you solve a problem. You need to be able to articulate it in a way that shows your unique style. You need to give background to who you are as a company. You need to talk about your values, your beliefs, unique ways in which you look at things to give more character to the brand online. So the educational content piece is just one of it, right? You have to give testimonials, you have to give user feedback, you have to offer free resources if you want to go that route and get more people to exchange their information with you. So there's all these different things that you have to do outside of just the one YouTube video that you can cut into small pieces. So I'm not saying that's the whole thing, but that's definitely a core element if you want to do educational as part of it, or entertainment, right? So I'm using it in my example, but if you do the entertainment route, same thing. That could just be a piece or a core piece of what you post on your social media platform. So overall, that's what I would suggest. And then there's a lot of AI tools now to do all that editing for you, or not all of it, but you can get save a lot of time by using these AI tools that are now out there. They will chop up your video or find the best parts of your video, and they'll look for ways to like rearrange it so you have the hook first and then the content. They'll try to get rid of all the blank spaces. They'll put in a little bit of video over the top of you if it helps visually for telling the story or helping with the short form content. There's things that'll enhance your voice quality too. So all these things that'll help increase the production value of your piece of content, which will hopefully get it in front of more people. And that's the ultimate goal. Again, this top of funnel, the goal here is to go from unknown to known in a lot of people's minds. You need to be spending a lot of your time just getting people to know who you are. That's posting things consistently. That's posting things that's high value. That's posting things that's relevant to them right now in their state of mind. That's posting things that they can resonate with and relate to as well. So that's how I think about it there. And a few notes, if you're going to try the YouTube game, I'm brand new to this, so I'm learning as I go here. But what seems to happen, as opposed to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right, is that your video lasts a lot longer. So if you think about your short, which is a few seconds on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's only going to last for maybe a few days. unless it goes really, really viral, then it may last for a little bit longer. It may only last a few hours, right? The algorithm will put it in front of people. And if they don't stay on that video, it's gone after a few times people flip through it and they don't stay on the video. Why? Because those platforms, their whole goal is to keep you on the platform as long as possible, because then they can serve you more ads, they can serve you more things, and they can collect more data about you. That's a whole separate conversation on, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? But for the purpose of business, the goal is to have pieces of content that are engaging, that get people to watch and then hopefully consume more. So translate that over to YouTube. I've posted, a few videos now. I told you 3 at this point. And, I spend hours upon hours upon hours on these videos, and they're nowhere near the quality of videos you'll find on YouTube, right? Because I'm just starting out. So I don't expect it to be nearly to the level that these other professionals do this on they've been doing it for years. But what I've noticed is it's a delay. Like, it doesn't instantly start serving it in front of people. Maybe it does for other people, but I'm telling you my experience. It like slow plays it, like especially if you're new, it'll serve it out and it takes a little bit of time. Like the last video that I posted, it took like a day before it even started to go out to people and to get people to even see the video, and then either to scroll past it or to stay on it, right? And click on it. So don't freak out within the first like hour, 2 hours after posting it if you don't see anything happen. I got pretty discouraged after it was video number 2. I posted it. I spent a lot of time on it, and then like I didn't see anything happen after the first day. And I'm just like, man, I just spent so many hours. It's like so many hours. And it's still, again, it's well below average for a normal YouTube video, quality wise. But I poured my heart and soul into it. So, you want to be able to detach yourself from the outcome. That's the takeaway here is, okay, well, did I get better from the last video I did to this next one that I did? And I can unequivocally say, yes, I did. So that's the more important part here is, am I gaining the skills? Am I gaining the knowledge? And I just look forward to continuing to make those videos, because here's the thing on YouTube, this is the long-term game, right? Your video may take 30 days to get like any type of views or reach, 45 days, 60 days, sometimes 90 days to start getting views on it. But your video is there. It's like almost like an evergreen. Like you can type in things that you're looking for, and you'll find videos from like 4 years, 5 years ago, if you're going on YouTube, that you'll click on and watch. That means those videos are still relevant today. So the lifetime of these videos is way longer than a short clip on social media. I'm talking years longer. I think this is the real game. This is the long-term game for content creation, is actually YouTube. That's what I'm realizing. If you make something really, really good, it will last for 6, 7, 8, and beyond years. That's more views continuing to go to your videos to then watch more videos that you've made in later years. That's more views to your website and anything else that you've linked to it down below. Each one of your videos, there's more likely people to click on it. So I look at it as, it's definitely more of the long-term play. It's not the short, quick, fast hit that social media is. This is the long game. YouTube is the long game. So if you're not in it for the long game, then maybe regular social media will be better for you. That's what I'm learning through YouTube. There's so many things to learn on that platform in editing. And there's a balance too, like that's going on in my own mind, is like, how much of this editing and content creation do I want to learn, versus when I get the chance, I'm obviously going to hire someone to do some of this stuff. I don't want to, right now, it's like kind of what I'm obsessing over, but it's definitely not going to be like the long-term thing that I'm going to be doing as far as anything post-production goes. So anything from like the editing to the lighting to all that kind of stuff, I'll still want to be shooting the videos and making content. I enjoy this part, but anything after that, I just would leave it to a team. So I already know in my head, like, what are the things I would keep and do myself versus what are the things I would delegate once things are to a point where I can do that from a financial standpoint, from a time standpoint, and from like a process standpoint. Like, I got it down enough to where I could hand this off to someone and they could pick up right where I left off and keep it growing. So that's the whole goal there. On another note, TikTok, right? I said I posted a few videos on there and it did pretty well. It absolutely floored me because the amount of reach it got, the amount of views I got, the amount of follows I got, the amount of likes I got was crazy. It was absolutely bananas. The other thing about TikTok, and this is, it may be applicable or it may be banned, so I don't know if this will last the test of time, but in TikTok, it's a lot more like there's a lot less production. So remember when I told you like Instagram is like high quality production, like all the video videography, like tips and tricks to make it look more cinematic and more high quality. Those things do well on Instagram. On TikTok, it's more people just talking to the phone, or with some graph or background like right behind them, and it's like this green screen. It's a lot less production value. It's just a lot more straight talking on the cell phone, talking to whoever's on the other side. So I look at it, TikTok right now is more of like the early days of social media, how it was probably back in the day where there wasn't these high quality production. It wasn't really business and monetized. Early days social media wasn't. So that's the way that I see it. And I'll be really interested to see if TikTok continues. So that goes to the point that I wanted to make earlier, which is you can definitely do the strategy that I'm doing, which is take the YouTube video, cut it into shorts and reels and all that other stuff, and then post it across all your platforms. The problem that you'll end up getting is that each platform is unique on which content works the best. So like I told you, Facebook is like groups, long form text, those types of things. Instagram, high quality, production value, super hard to grow on. TikTok, more just talking straight to the camera, doesn't need to be generated, anything like that. YouTube, it's more, I'd say it's more education based or how to solve a problem, or entertainment based, high quality entertainment based too. So literally, like depending on which social platform you're on, there's a very distinct type of content that works the best on there. If you take a video, chop it up, and then put it on these platforms, it's not going to do as well as if you catered to each platform and what specifically you want to post on there to get the best reach for that platform. So all that to say, if you're trying to do it for time and more efficiency, which is the approach I'm taking, then you would do what I'm doing, which is just cut up a long form or go from short to long and then put it across every platform. But if you have the time or if you have the team, then you can try to start generating per platform so you can get the most reach as possible. And obviously, you want to be able to get people, again, at the end of the day, to convert into sales. So what are those things that you're doing once they're engaging with your content to get them to that next step? How are you going to get them to take one step closer? Now, if you're using ads, this is like fuel to the fire. So part of what I'm doing is, YouTube to short form content on across all the platforms that I could post it on. And then the other thing I'm doing is really focusing on Facebook because, again, I learned Meta ads. So between Facebook and Instagram, it's cheaper to run ads on Facebook. And I've gotten pretty much all of my calls from the Facebook platform, not the Instagram platform. So it's cheaper to run ads on Facebook as opposed to Instagram. And I've gotten all my leads in the past from Facebook rather than Instagram. So a lot of my time, effort, energy is going to be on Facebook more than Instagram right now, and then continue to try to give value and then really, really focus on the top of the funnel and not making really any asks like, hey, here, go to my website, right? Or, hey, here's how I solve your problem. Click here and book a call. Instead of trying to do those things right now, it's just purely focused on getting them educated on to what my business does, how we do it in a unique way, how we've helped other business owners, some controversial content about how we view things how we do things differently than others, maybe in the same space as them or as us. It's a lot more of just building the relationship and setting the foundations. Then later you can start making the ask. And then later you can start asking them to jump on a call with you. And they'll feel more comfortable because they've already gotten to understand a lot more of who you are, what your company does. Another great way to build the relationship quicker from social media is to get them onto something. Like I've talked about this before, but it's to get them onto something else. So it's like, all right, if you're running ads on Facebook and Instagram or on Meta in general, it's to get them to like a Facebook group where you can post more often in there and it doesn't cost you any money. No ad dollars are spent there. It's to get them from one of those two platforms to your email list. It's to get them from one of those two things to your webinar or to your workshop, where you can give them an hour's worth of value or an hour's worth of content to really help them understand what their problem is and how you can help them on that next stage. So it does a lot better at what we call nurturing than just giving them all these ads. So you definitely want to start with just them understanding who you are. Then, well, first getting them to watch a piece of content and then getting them to stick around to watch other pieces to get a better understanding of who you are. Then offering them some free things to get them to stick a little bit longer. And then from there, you can make the ask and it doesn't feel as forced. Or, hey, do you want this? Do you not? And they, it helps smooth out the road towards a working relationship. And, specifically for my business, I want to work with business owners who are, looking to grow, who are looking to make an impact and a change in the world and are wanting to be better versions of themselves. So this isn't something where it's just one and done. It's a relationship I'd want to nurture and work with them for a long period of time. So you want to definitely make sure that there's a sync between both parties and they're moving in the same direction and it makes sense to work together. So those are things I've learned recently on social media. Biggest takeaway is figure out a plan that works for you. If you like making short form content that's more just you speaking to the camera and that's it, maybe TikTok's the best thing for you if you're still around. If you're someone who likes the high quality production and you want to, get a camera and just record and do things like that, then again, it could be short form on Instagram, probably is your best bet. If you're a writer, LinkedIn blogs is probably pretty good, or Facebook. And then if you're more of like an educator, I'd say YouTube is probably your best platform to do that on. And obviously there's side platforms too, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you're doing podcasts. So podcast is another way, I think, just like this is to educate, and it's long form. So you got to understand like what is your natural instinct? Do you like long form? Do you like short form? What works best for you? So if you're using your content as a way to help you generate business, figure out something that works with your style and who you are. And then from there, you want to figure out how do I get them down the funnel into these next couple steps and hopefully make them a customer down the line, because that's the goal. And then see where it takes you from there. So hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you grabbed the nugget from here. Again, it's not just about learning and listening, it's about applying. So what can you take away from this podcast that you can apply into your business, or if you're a content creator, into your content strategy for 2025? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.